Welcome to another instructional video with RC Guy Garage.
Part 2.
Yeah, and if you skip through the video, obviously you won't realize that you forgot to give it a thumbs up. The work was already done and completed, but I realized literally at where am I in the timeline here? I'm at 50 minutes in the timeline. I think that's pretty good for a partial kind of diff install. Now, I was going over and through a bunch of things in my head trying to figure out exactly what was going on concerning that EXB, and you'll see that I basically discovered, in reality, what it was. So if you're ready for part 2, here's part 2 of the EXB locker install. So, yeah, let's just, rip it. If I take this gasket and put this gasket back in, I mean, we're only talking the slightest amount, but okay. Where's that little set screw? There's supposed to be a little set screw here somewhere. Crap. Where's the little set screw? Probably fell off onto the ground somewhere. This magnetic mat is supposed to catch stuff, but yeah, I don't think it does. So I don't need the set screw now, but I normally would have to have a set screw in there. Because I'm not done here. I think I'm going to be taking this apart. And I think I'm going to put that gasket on. Just to see if... Because technically what I've done is I've shrunk the diff. But the way it sits in here, shrinking it actually should make it easier to go in. Do you know what I'm saying? I shrunk it by not adding this gasket. So I think I need to take this apart, install the gasket, find a set screw, because I eventually don't want the junk getting in there. My diff fluid, which my ring and pinion fluid. So I do need to find the set screw that actually goes there. I just don't know where it is. And I thought it was actually in here, because there's nothing in this little bag. So that means I potentially lost it. Awesome. It's definitely not there. It's not here. I really thought there was a set screw here. All right, anyways, I'll be back. All right, so I'm kind of fiddling around with stuff, and I'm putting stuff together, and I'm trying to really comprehend why I'm getting, some tightness, and I'm just snapping this on because I'm looking for the set screw that I knew was in here. Well, guess what? Somehow, when I put the stupid set screw or bearing down, it actually ate my set screw. So the set screw is here, but I ended up throwing another set screw in there anyway, so yeah, well, whatever. It's there. Just had to share that. Okay, we are back on. So, something that was kind of odd. So I'm sitting here and I'm realizing, you know what? You have not given a thumbs up yet, so why don't you just do it? Throw in a thumbs up. About this, and it must have to do with case design or whatever. So what I ended up doing with installing this locker, even though we're only talking about millimeters of difference, which you would think is microscopic in a way, between that and what I did is I took my pick and I scraped basically the entire edge, where the bearing surface kind of contacts, and now it's clean. So now when I take this diff, and obviously you can't feel what I was feeling once I slip this into place. But now when I slip it into place, of course now it's not going to do it. Listen, ready? Hear the snap? So now when I slip this into place, it does still slightly bind, but it is a little bit more freer. So you really have to make sure that the surfaces where these bearings are connecting into, you have to make sure that they are really clean. Otherwise, you're probably going to end up with issue like what I was doing. Now, I still haven't been able to resolve the replacement. You know, I should put this light on over here. Maybe that would help. I haven't been able to resolve spacing this out, and you can't space it out like how I was thinking, because technically that surface area right there is concave. So the very edge of the bearing is what contacts that metal sleeve that's pressed into here. So I would literally have to get some type of a tiny little spacer to space this out, because I cannot find any way to shift this over. It's not moving. It's got no place to go. It's not going to move. So I'm going to now install this pinion back in here. Make sure that that bearing is seated. I'm going to take that drive cup, rotate my flat so that it's kind of facing me, and install that cup all the way onto that gear. Then I'll take my set screw, and this is just still mocking up. Take that set screw and I'm going to drive it home. Just like that. That's there. Now I'm going to take this diff. Again, this is all just dry fit. Toss it in, and it literally is in. Now, in order for me, like I said, in order for me to get rid of that lash, I would have to install the smallest of smallest, thinnest shims on my pinion to push my pinion further in towards my, yeah, I almost called it a spider, in towards my ring gear. Okay, that's what I would have to do. Okay, now I'm going to leave this as is, and I'm going to install it just like this. I'm seemingly very satisfied right now with how this is. The amount of lash has also been decreased. So, believe it or not, actually, that's actually mint now. Yeah, that's mint. So, I'm going to go ahead, take that set screw back out. I'm going to throw some Loctite on it because I know that's like literally what I want. If anything, now that that is actually in place, could I take this cover and put it on now? Oops, goes that way. No, I can't. Oh, can I? No, actually, I could, couldn't I? Isn't that funny? It just... Look at that. So there we go. So yeah, as a matter of fact, I could. I could now just keep that as an assembly, because I believe the shock tower is definitely going to clear by the way it looks. Yeah, that should be fine. And then I can basically just pack grease in there right now. Provided that I'm like ready, which I think I am. So I'm going to go ahead and put my grease in there, lube this all up. I'll put my screws in, which are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Keeping in mind that this one for me is stripped out already. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So these screws, I can save all these pieces right here. I can basically save and throw in the bag with this because I don't really need any of this junk anymore. So, all right, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these in with the right driver. Actually, can I use my driver this time? Yes, I can. So I'm going to be careful when I do this. So I'm just going to stop it right there. And I'll turn it by hand the rest of the way. Which, right about there, that's where it stops. Give that one a little bit of a crank, which that one feels like it's stripped out too. That's the thing about this junk plastic too, man. You gotta be careful. That one's done. So, like, this whole right side is now like kind of semi-stripped out. So now I can go ahead and pack some grease in there. Just had it on the table here. Come on. Alright, well, I'm just going to pause it. And no sooner that I paused it, I literally found it. So like I said, this is the stuff that I use. And I'm actually starting to run out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smear it right inside of there. And I'll let the, I'll actually let the gear suck it in to where it needs to be. And I'll clean up like all the edges and stuff. So right now I'm just going to rotate it that way. And I'll put some more in there. But this stuff really coats very well. I really like this stuff. This is definitely the stuff I'd recommend. So, could do that. Let it suck it in. It'll probably be fine. Remember, make sure you wear gloves. Don't do this stuff with your fingers. It's not the right way to do it. And see how that works, man? This stuff is mint. And the way it'll sling inside, it'll sling it so that it's constantly lubricating the gear. I'll probably throw, again, just a little touch more in there. Like I said, you will use a good amount, but this stuff is so slick. It's almost as if it causes no drag. I mean, it does, but it's a beautiful lubricator. So, and that's what I'm going to go with right there. See? Clean off those edges. That is a sufficiently packed diff now. So that's going to sling fluid just like how I want it to. It's going to be mint. So now I can basically just go ahead and install this as a unit right into the vehicle. So I'm going to move the camera. Gonna eat the camera. Alright, so make sure you cap off your stuff. Just want to make sure that my drive shaft is aligned when I do this. I want to make sure I don't touch the bottom where the fluid is. Making sure that those channels are nice and clean, because that's obviously where the fluid is going to kind of sit. And if you get any gear breakage, and also it gives it room for the actual gear itself. So I'm going to flip that up, put that in place. I'm going to drop this right down, just like that right there. Okay, that's in place. I can go ahead, slide this down into place, just like that. Got a couple of screws. Put those screws in through the bottom. One right there. Probably should use a driver. Definitely be faster. God, it's hard doing this with the camera in the way. Literally, the camera's in the way. There we go. Ah. Oh, it doesn't sound good. So there's that one. Grab another one. And this time I'll make it so you can see what I'm doing. What I'm doing is basically just picking it up. Screwing it right in position. I'm going to give it just a little hand tweak. Just like that. A little hand tweak. Just like that. I think that is probably there. Yeah, satisfied with that. Alright, drive shaft's in. Brace and stuff is lined up. This little thing right here, this can be lined up. I can take those screws and pump those screws into there now. I'm going to clean up the mess that I've got right here. All these plates and all this stuff that belong to the Mojave. That way I'll be able to put the Mojave back together. So I'll throw that in there and basically just take all this and just fire this right in there. And that way I'm done with that. So now I know I've got basically these parts right here in this tray. These parts now need to transfer over to here. So there were 2 screws that I need to put down on the tops right there, which required that. And I think that one right there, the 2 longer ones, maybe. Is that the right one? Sure does look it. Yeah, I believe it. It's the longer ones. Unless the longer ones went that way. You know what? Actually, I think the longer ones... No, that's that. So, those ones were these cap screws, I think. Either way. I'll put it back together. Maybe it was these, yeah. Looks like it might have been these ones. So, I just don't have the right driver, man. Can't find the piece that I'm looking for. Alright, well, I'll just do it by hand. So, just screw these down. Now I'm basically going to take this setup right here. Install this as like a unit. Do the shock tower. Watch out for that little brace thing there. Put the dog bones into place first. Just like this. You know what to do anyway. Just tap that pin right into place, just like that. Same thing on this side. Pop that out just for a split second, or not. Take the dog bone, bigger end goes towards the wheel, like that. Slide that into place. God. Yeah, for all the love. Alright, here we go. It's in. Yay. Alright, just give that pin a couple taps. Make sure it's all the way in. Then, what I can do is take the that other brace, which is right here. This pin brace. Now this pin brace needs to go towards that back section, just like this. Paper towel and just give it a little clean. And that slides in like that. I even clean the bottom. So that's going to go in like that while I push the wheels into place. Just give it a couple little love taps. Whatever. Didn't want to take a tap from me, huh? Alright, I got you. This literally just wants to fight me right now. It's because I'm doing this on camera, that's why. So, that's aligned. Now I can take this little piece, slide that into place. Yeah, you do. I know you do. I can see it. There we go. Now there's 2 screws that drive that way, which were those longer ones, which were this one and this one. So this one and this one. Gotta do something about that. Just for that back little pin thing here. Have to. And go there. We'll attach my little sway bar thing here, right through that hole, like that. Hey, honey.
You're not live, are you?
Nope. Just recording. So then, just make sure it kind of just comes to the end with my finger. Tighten that little screw, which is probably already stripped out by now. Do the same thing on the other side. I know my hand is in the way, or arm. Tighten that little screw, which that one is probably stripped out as well. Yep. It stays in place. It does its job. So now the shock tower. So shock tower, now there's 2 screws that are going in this way, which were those longer screws. I think it was actually these shorter ones. So these I can just drive home, provided I line it up. Done. Now there were 2 screws I got to go through the chassis, 2 screws that I have to go through this, which that is those longer screws right there. So on this basically just goes through here for now, and then watch out because this does have those lock nuts. So, and those lock nuts will want to fall off. We already discovered that. So you got to kind of just weasel this in there and be prepared for those lock nuts to kind of pop off. I know I can get this in there because it came out. There we go. And that, you heard it. You heard the lock nut fall off. So lock nut fell off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those longer bolts right now, put them through the wing, tie the wing into place. Like that. Just like that. So those are going through. Now that's locked into place. I got these 2 screws that go underneath for the differential. I'll throw those in right now. Just like this. It'd be better if this tire wasn't even here. So these 2 screws are going to go here and here. Which, let's see, this right there. And whoop. I wish that was magnetic, but it's not. Alright. Done. Give it a little bit of a crank. Give it a little bit of a crank. So that's all set. Flip this thing back over. find the screw that I lost, which, not the screw, the nut that popped out. So the nut popped out. I don't know where that went. Bet the other one is still there. Take this one. Remember, there was a short one and a long one. The short one goes towards the back. Now I can put this back up. And the nut was actually inside the tire. So, can do that. Just lift this thing back up, allowing the thing to droop a little bit. Probably would be easier if I didn't have this tire on. So I got to turn this around just so I can see if it's actually going into that nut. And it's there. I just can't tell if it's going into it. Is that even going in there? I can't even tell if there's a lock nut in there now. Starting to think there isn't. And I can't even see either. This is where I need my flashlight. So let's see. So what I can do is I could use my camera and zoom into that area. It looks like, where is it? So that's that one. That's that one. So the nut is there. It looks like it's just like, for some reason, not making contact. I think. God, I can't even tell. See, this is when this this is when this gets in the way. It's literally right here. I can't tell. I need to take the stinking wheel off. Dang it. Alright. So I will re-Loctite these back on. So this is the only one I got to take off anyway, so it's not like it's a big deal. So that one's off. And was it tightening? It feels like it's not tightening. Oh, there it goes. It was literally just a couple more turns. So we're good on that. Got to throw this nut in on that little plate right there. That's in. Don't forget these little spacers. You got the smaller spacer on the right side, or the driver's side, and you got the larger side spacer, no, left side, right side. Never mind. You know what I mean. Just can't see what I'm doing, because I can't see what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm going to throw that in there. And then throw the other spacer in there. It is the larger spacer is on the right. Just, never mind. Go watch another video. Don't listen to me. And I'll make sure that that nut stays in place. Just need to press it in a little harder. Make sure that nut stays in place. This GoPro is burning up. Perfect. Thing of beauty. So, yeah, that's it. Basically, it's all together. Now my rear differential is completely locked, thanks to the California locker that I grabbed. That got med-flighted here. I didn't grab it. It got med-flighted here. I am going to take thread lock. I am going to put it on my threads here. Just a drop. Not a lot. I say just a drop as I pump a gallon onto it. And now this thing is just about ready to rip it another day. Make sure that's it. That's all the way in. Give that a crank. Done. Game changer fan is installed. Right on top of the motor. Should work out pretty mint. This will need a secondary game changer fan. I just got to figure out how I'm going to be able to configure that. I'll probably have it like maybe somewhere back here in the back of the chassis somewhere. Maybe right there. I'm not exactly sure. I know I've got this one right here. Who knows? Maybe I'll double stack. Because if I double stack 2 game changers, it's literally like twice the flow. Or I'll just put another game changer fan somewhere else, or I'll do a heatsink. If I did a heatsink, it would probably assist. I think there's enough. Is there enough body width? Not really. I'll figure it out. I'll be able to get another game changer fan on there somehow. Whether I attach it to the brace or do some kind of a funky configuration. Either way, got a game changer fan on there. Those are the fans I go with. I do need to Loctite that screw now. So I'm actually going to go after that. Because I almost forgot. But I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and go after this one right here, right now. Bring it up. I'm going to uncrank it while it stays in place, I hope. It's probably a bad idea doing it like this, but whatever. Thread lock. Thread lock it before you do this. Put a little bit of thread lock. Should put the thread lock in the hole. That's a better way to go. Whoa. That was a little too much. Holy moly. Crank that bad boy in there. And bam. Mint. Give it a turn. Here we go. It's happy. Look at that. Yeah, I'm definitely happy now. Rear diff is now locked. That definitely works for me. Check the underneath part of the car, make sure I got all my screws in place. Got no missing screws. Got a couple of screw holes, but I don't think they go to anything. Got one there, one there. I think that's a blind one. There is one there, but I don't know what that goes to. And it doesn't look like it goes to anything. So, get this thing out of the way before the wire muncher eats it, because that would be a problem. That's to run a weak fan to go to a motor, which you really need to have a game changer fan on there. So, but yeah, that's it. I've got to put this in the little Ziploc bag. The Mojave is going to actually need a new spur.
It's not a spur guy, it's a ring gear.
I didn't have the shims to shim out this rear end the proper way, so it ended up basically eating the ring gear on this, and then it gave the pinion gear a little bit of a shock tooth to it, so it's got a nice little sharp edge on it now. But now this thing is ready to rip. We've got no extra pots, which that's the best. When you got no extra pots, it's a good feeling. So wings on, that's on, and literally this is it. So hopefully you like this episode from RC Guy Garage. It's basically just doing some of the basics. I really wish I could have shown you how well the rear differential kind of did work. I messed it up by not having the proper shims, but now, once this locker is, proven, which it's already proven, I'm just going to rip it. So, I'll let you know where this locker comes from at a later date once I can be allowed to say, hey, here you go, here's a locker. So, I'm out. You should get out too, and point blank, what? You should point blank rip it. Yeah, and if you skip through the video, obviously you won't realize that you forgot to give it a thumbs up.
Thank you for coming by, and we will see you on the next one.